G'day chemistry students. In this video we're going to be looking at dot point 3.2.1, reactions with metals. This is the second part, the second kind of metal reaction, which is a metal displacement reaction. Let's get into it. This reaction is actually quite simple. We have a metal, this one would be solid. We have a salt with a metal in it, this one would be aqueous. In some cases, a metal that is solid can displace or swap places with the metal that is a salt and in solution. Essentially, they trade place, the solid becomes aqueous, and the ion that was aqueous forms a solid. This is a visual example of this in practice. I'm not too sure what the contents of these solutions were initially, but we have copper to start off with, and that undergoes a displacement reaction with whatever metal's in here, and the metal starts forming around the outside of the wire, and the displacements actually happen to the point where the solid copper that was in the solution is actually leached out and formed ions in the solution, giving this solution the classic or characteristic blue color that copper solutions have. This diagram shows very similar things. In this example, we have copper sulfate solution, and it undergoes a displacement reaction with magnesium. The magnesium goes into the solution, the copper comes out and forms a solid, meaning that in this instance, the color of the copper in the solution, the blue color, has been lost and forms a clear or transparent solution characteristic of magnesium sulfate, which makes a lot of sense because all of that copper has come out of solution and has formed down the bottom here as a solid. The thing to keep in mind, and something that I will build on in the next couple of videos, is that only metals which are more reactive than the one in solution can displace that metal. So just as an example, magnesium here is more reactive than copper, so it is capable of displacing copper out of the solution. If you had copper and put it in a solution of magnesium, nothing would happen. Essentially, the reverse can't happen because the copper is not more reactive than the magnesium itself. But more on that in the coming lessons once we start looking at the reactivity of metals. Speaking of, that will be our next lesson where I will build on the reactivity of metals a little bit more. And we're actually going to be looking at some of the results from our recent metal experiments or metal reaction experiments to come up with our own list of metals and rank them by their reactivity. But until then, have a good one.